Let me take a moment and talk about Riverside.fm. It allows you to record studio quality audio and up to 4K video. When you need to record audio and video, Riverside.fm can do it. So if you're looking for a hero platform for all your recording needs, from podcasts to webinars to any video content, Riverside.fm. I've got a promo code for you where you'll receive a 30% discount on the first 3 months of your subscription. I'll give it to you twice. The promo code is SHIPIT. All one word, SHIPIT, and you'll pick up a 30% discount on your first 3 months of your subscription. Riverside.fm.
In this episode of the Football History Headlines on the Best of the Pigskin Dispatch, we discuss Super Bowl 13 between the Cowboys and the Steelers, as well as many more Hall of Fame legendary birthdays and stories, all coming up in just one moment.
This is the Pigskin Daily History Dispatch, a podcast that covers the anniversaries of American football events throughout history on a day-to-day basis. Your host, Darren Hayes, is podcasting from America's North Shore to bring you the memories of the gridiron, one day at a time. So as we come out of the tunnel of the Sports History Network, let's take the field and go no huddle through the portal of positive gridiron history with PigskinDispatch.com.
This podcast is part of the Sports History Network, your headquarters for the yesteryear of your favorite sport. You can learn more at sportshistorynetwork.com.
Hello, my football friends. This is Darren Hayes of PigskinDispatch.com. Welcome once again to the Pig Pen, your portal to positive football history, where we will talk about the football history headlines in this episode for January 21st. And to get right at it, we'll start off January 21st, 1949. According to the Pro Football Hall of Fame, this marks the day that the New York Bulldogs and New York Yanks franchise started. As we alluded to in our January 19th post, the Yanks really got their league start in 1945 when the Brooklyn team reassembled the Yanks franchise that left the NFL in the mid-1940s and went to the All-American Football Conference. They played as the AAFC's Boston Yanks for 3 seasons, from 1946 through 1948. In 1949, the franchise changed homes again and returned to the Big Apple and became the New York Bulldogs and played at the Polo Grounds along with the New York Giants. The 1950 season had the Bulldogs change their name back to the Yanks, and later in 1952, the NFL purchased the Yanks from owner Ted Collins. January 21st, 1967, the Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum. The results of the 6th AFL All-Star Game were that the Eastern Division knocked off the Western Division 30-23. According to RememberTheAFL.com website, the game's MVPs were Babe Parilli, the quarterback of the Boston Patriots, and the great defensive end of the New York Jets, Verlin Biggs. January 21st, 1968, the Gator Bowl in Jacksonville, Florida. The Eastern Division of the AFL must have liked playing on January 21st because at the 7th AFL All-Star Game, the Eastern Division once again got one over on their Western Division rivals by the score of 25-24, per the RememberTheAFL.com. A couple of New York Jets were voted as the offensive most valuable players, as quarterback Joe Namath and Don Maynard shared the spotlight, and the defensive MVP of the game was Speedy Duncan of the LA Chargers, who played defensive back and also returned kicks. Now, Duncan muffed an early punt that the West recovered and later scored on, but his 90-yard kickoff return later in the game more than made up for it and gave him that MVP honor. That same day in 1968, the NFL Pro Bowl was played at the LA Coliseum. According to the American Football Database, it was won by the Western Division as they outscored their Eastern counterparts 38-20. Otto Graham, the coach of Washington, was coaching the East team, while he was matching with the Colts' Don Shula. Graham took some heat for his players when he benched quarterback Fran Tarkington in the fourth quarter because who Tarkington was at the time to football, and the game was a charity exhibition. The most valuable players of the game were Gale Sayers of the Chicago Bears and Green Bay's Dave Robinson. The MVP honor was the second season in a row that Sayers had earned it. Let's jump forward into the 70s now. January 21st, 1973, at Texas Stadium in Irving, Texas, the 23rd NFL Pro Bowl story was covered once again by the American Football Database. In the contest, the Steelers' Chuck Noll coached the AFC and faced the man in the fedora, Tom Landry, who was coaching the NFC. We'll talk more about that coaching matchup in a second. The AFC edged out the NFC 33-28. The game's MVP was O.J. Simpson, the running back of the Buffalo Bills. The winners of the game cashed out at $2,000 per man, while the NFC players got $1,500 each in the loss. And now the big one. January 21st, 1979, at Miami's Orange Bowl in Miami, Florida. Super Bowl 13 may be one of the greatest NFL championships ever played, according to the 247sports.com article. The two top teams of the era squared off with Hall of Fame coaches Tom Landry on the Dallas Cowboys sideline, while the Pittsburgh Steelers strategist was Chuck Noll. The game was heavily hyped in the build-up of the game, and it really lived up to everyone's expectation and probably surpassed it. The game was a rematch of Super Bowl X, played 3 years earlier, where the Steelers had won 21-17. The game still has a standing record of 19 future Pro Bowl Hall of Famers who were at the game on the sidelines. It was Noll, Landry, Tex Schramm, the general manager of the Cowboys, Pittsburgh's owners, Art and Dan Rooney, and the assistant coaches for Dallas were Mike Ditka and Ernie Stautner, a former Steeler, by the way. Part of the pregame hype was Thomas Hollywood Henderson mocking Terry Bradshaw's intelligence, and this enraged many of the Steeler players. Henderson even came into the game and had a big hit on TB that caused a fumble, resulting in Dallas's only lead, but the blonde bomber overcame his 3 turnovers in the first half to have a great second half. He put throws on receivers to Lynn Swann and John Stallworth, who were both over 100 yards on the day receiving. That was a Super Bowl record first for having 2 men over 100 yards receiving on the same team. Dallas had its chance at the end, but tight end Jackie Smith dropped a wide-open, sure touchdown pass in the end zone with the Cowboys facing 3rd and 3 from the Steelers' 10-yard line in the third quarter, and Dallas had to kick a field goal. The Pittsburgh Steelers were victorious in the game over the Dallas Cowboys, 35-31. The game's MVP was Terry Bradshaw. One final note is that there was the final Super Bowl ever played at the Orange Bowl. 5 of the first 13 Super Bowls were played there, including the first matchup of these two teams in Super Bowl X, and also the great Jets versus Colts game in Super Bowl III. January 21st, 1992, Bill Cowher is announced as the head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers, becoming only the second head coach of this team since 1970. He replaced the legend Chuck Noll, who had stepped down after 23 seasons at the helm. January 21st, 2007, at the RCA Dome in Indianapolis, the ProFootballReference.com states that the AFC Championship game, the Indianapolis Colts outlasted the New England Patriots 38-34. Running back Joseph Adai completed a late Colts go-ahead drive at the 1-minute mark of the fourth quarter in this classic Peyton Manning versus Tom Brady contest. January 21st, 2007, in the other side of the league, the NFC Championship game was played at Soldier Field in Chicago. The ProFootballReference.com lists the Chicago Bears beating up on the New Orleans Saints 39-14 to advance to Super Bowl 41. January 21st, 2018, the NFC Championship was played at Lincoln Field in Philadelphia. The Philadelphia Eagles defeated the Minnesota Vikings 38-7. On the AFC side on that same day of 2018, at Gillette Stadium in Foxborough, the New England Patriots beat the Jacksonville Jaguars 24-20. Now let's take a quick break from our headlines and let me remind you can learn more about gridiron history on our website, pigskindispatch.com. And you can contact me, Darren Hayes, at pigskindispatch@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you. Speaking of hearing from someone who's here is one of my podcasting partners from the sportshistorynetwork.com that has a message just for you.
Hello, sports fans. My name is Mark Mortier, and my show is called Yesterday Sports. My show mainly focuses on old school sports from the 1960s, 70s, and 80s. I'm a member of the Pro Football Researchers Association and a sports historian. I have a podcast every other Tuesday, so come join us at the Sports History Network for a trip down memory lane.
That podcast is definitely a good one. You don't want to miss there. Let's talk about some birthdays of Hall of Famers now for this January 21st, and we'll start off in the year 1901 in Bell Buckle, Tennessee. Lynn Bomar, the end from Vanderbilt, was born. Bomar was one of the very first Southern players to make it on Walter Camp's All-America team, according to the NFF. In his first season of 1921, the team went undefeated, and at the game against Georgia, Bomar was credited with saving 5 touchdowns with his play from the linebacker position. In 1922, he found his offensive groove as he teamed up with quarterback and future Hall of Fame coach Jess Neely to form a passing combination that led to a second consecutive unbeaten season. In 1923, he and fellow Vandy End, Heck Wakefield, were both listed as All-Americans on Walter Camp's list. The National Football Foundation selected Lynn Bomar to enter into their College Football Hall of Fame in 1956. January 21st, 1925, Chicago, Illinois. Holy Cross and Notre Dame lineman George Connor arrived into this life. Irish coach Frank Leahy claimed that Connor was one of the best blockers he had ever seen. The NFF states that during Connor's 2 seasons in an Irish uniform, he never played in a losing game. Connor played 8 years with the Chicago Bears and was an All-Pro and was an All-NFL 5 times. George Connor was voted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame in 1975, and he also is in the College Football Hall of Fame. January 21st, 1957, Pasadena, Texas. Jacob Green, the fine Texas A&M defensive lineman, was born. The National Football Foundation selected Jacob Green into the College Football Hall of Fame in the year 2019. January 21st, 1975, Wichita Falls, Texas. Aaron Taylor, the former Nebraska offensive lineman, was born. The National Football Foundation voters selected Aaron Taylor to enter into the College Football Hall of Fame in the year 2018. We're certainly appreciative that you joined us again today on the Pigskin Dispatch podcast, and we're on here every day. We are a daily podcast, and we talk about football history every day of the year, and we would like you to join us at least most of those days, because we have a good 10 to 15 minutes of your daily commute or your daily listen or that quiet time or times you just want to catch up on that football history. We have it for you. And we are found on your favorite podcast supplier, or you can go to pigskindispatch.com. We post every day's podcast there, or go to the sportshistorynetwork.com where you can see our podcast and many of our other partners' podcasts that talk about sports history. A lot of them are football. There's baseball, hockey, just about everything, weightlifting. You can talk about all those with our great podcast celebrities and their guests that they have on there, and I think it's something you'll really enjoy. That's at sportshistorynetwork.com. Peeking up at the clock, the time's running down. We're going to go into victory formation, take a knee, and let this baby run out. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you back tomorrow for the next podcast. We invite you to check out our website, pigskindispatch.com, not only to see the daily football history, but to experience positive football with our many articles on the good people of the game, as well as our own football comic strip, Cleat Marks Comics. Pigskindispatch.com is also on social media outlets, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and don't forget the Pigskin Dispatch YouTube channel to get all of your positive football news and history. A special thanks to the talents of Mike and Jean Monroe, as well as Jason Neff for letting us use their music during our podcast.
This podcast is part of the Sports History Network, your headquarters for the yesteryear of your favorite sport. You can learn more at sportshistorynetwork.com.
It was just another ordinary day in the offices of the Pittsburgh Guardian newspaper circa 1924. But for Marla Delft, assistant editor, everything was about to change. For she was about to discover the awesome attractiveness of Row 1 brand retro sports paraphernalia items thanks to Orville Mulligan, sports writer.
And there it is.
Wow, Orville, that's really the bee's knees.
Isn't it just? A poster-sized replica of the actual 1909 World Series program cover.
I can see that. But where did you get it? And where'd you get it framed?
I ordered it from the Row 1 website, where over 6,000 items of sports memorabilia from the 1880s to the 1990s are available for reproduction, in multiple sizes and in several different materials, with over a dozen styles of frame to choose from for prints like this.
Well, I'm sure Mr. Delft would love to put up more of these in the office. But I'm equally as sure they're beyond this newspaper's budget.
Not at all, my dear Marla. See for yourself. Go to sportshistorynetwork.com/row1.
sportshistorynetwork.com/row1. Oh my, these are good prices. Oh, and look at this stuff. Oklahoma-Nebraska football, college basketball art, Michael Jordan items.
And so
retro
it was that
sports
Marla Delft
advertisement
discovered
flowers.
the splendiferous magic of Row 1 sports memorabilia, arts, and prints. You can too by visiting sportshistorynetwork.com/row1. That's ROW1 today for access to the full Row 1 catalog of gallery prints and gifts like t-shirts, long-sleeve shirts, telephone cases, coffee mugs, blankets, pillows, towels, and even shower curtains. Act today for 15% discount off all prints with coupon code SHN15 and 20% off all other items with coupon code SHN20 at checkout. And keep your dial locked to the Sports History Network for the exciting chronicles of the 1920 sports world in Orville Mulligan, Sports Writer. Coming soon.
Are you having a hard time figuring out what to get Dad for Father's Day? You should check out Row 1 Brand's Vintage Pictorum Gallery. They have America's best sports art. With over 7,200 historic sports prints, you're assured to find something unique for Dad this Father's Day. Instead of a boring old tie, get him a historic baseball photo taken by Henry High Sandom at the historic Polo Grounds Stadium in New York City during the 1894 Temple Cup. Or, if he's an NFL buff, check out the 1963 vintage NFL poster. These are so good looking that you'll be amazed how they turn out. Shop now at sportshistorynetwork.com/row1 and save 15% off your order.